What happened there? The main character get injured?
No, it was Jean Rochefort, who he developed, and we've never understood exactly what it was, but it was basically something in his ass. And he couldn't sit on a film anymore. I mean, on a horse anymore. Yeah, he couldn't sit on a horse on a film anymore. And he still is like that. I mean, it was so bizarre because in the course of about 2 weeks, he went from being a very young, healthy, brilliant guy to a very old man. It was tragic. And it's strange, I just saw him in Paris a month ago, and he looked like a very young man. I mean, he's 75, but he looked like he was about 55. But his ass doesn't work still.
There were some floods as far as
we had everything. I mean, God came in. It was just it was very Old Testamental. It just felt the set. I mean, we were shooting out in this very dry, deserty area, and we saw these clouds coming and said, "Oh, better go undercover." And it just came down. And it was like some judgment from God, and everything was washed away. I went actually when it started. I was running around like I thought it was like being in Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, with the tornado coming. And I just left where we were working and went out and found a rock, and I was sitting under it. And the rain was pouring down, and suddenly there was water running everywhere. Waterfalls were coming down the mountain, and then there was hailstones like golf balls, boom, boom. It was like everything. And I said, come on, what else do you have? And finally it all stopped. And it was quiet. And I came out from under my rock and looked back. The set, everything was gone. Everybody had disappeared. They were just washed away. It was extraordinary.
Did it go the opposite way on
No.
other movie? I mean, if you experience a movie that would be smooth and easy from the beginning to the end?
Well, I think Tideland is maybe the first one. Yeah, it was, and just what happened in Canada, we were shooting in late September, and we were very nervous about the weather going into October, because it was going to start snowing. And we had 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks were exteriors. And we finished the 3 weeks. We had a big party that night, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and the whole world was under about that much snow. It had snowed and just covered everything. And I thought, that's the reverse side of God.
Yeah, that's true. I read in some newspaper that the studio had something against Matt Damon's nose in Grimm Brothers.
Grimm. It's not a studio. This is the Weinstein brothers, Harvey Weinstein and his brother. The good thing about them is they're unlike a studio because they don't hide behind the corporate thing. They're there. The bad thing is they think they're filmmakers. That's a big mistake. and they have an obsession about their posters. They want their stars to look beautiful and young, and like they did on Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
he looks like he's about 18 years old on the poster, and so they're obsessed about that. And I had this little bump on Matt's nose, and it really changed him. It was very much like Dumbo in his feather. He could fly with this little bump, and it changed his profile because Matt's got this little cute nose, and I wanted it to be stronger, so I put a little bump on, and he looked like a young Marlon Brando. He walked different. Girls looked at him differently. It was amazing what this little bump did. And on the night before the first day's shooting, they said, if you put the bump on, we close the film down tomorrow and we sue you. That's how crazy they are.
So far?
Oh, yes. Yes, and I think, and my only regret on Brothers Grimm is that I didn't put the bump on his nose to see if it was a bluff or not. But we were very tired by then. And Matt, I came in for the first day's shooting, and he said, look, I don't have the bump, but we did some work on it. It looks really good, doesn't it? He says, I really want to do this movie, so can we do it? It's okay. I won't turn sideways to the camera.
You shooted Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yep. That's one thing I wanted to ask. How can you practically shoot in Las Vegas? They closed the casino for you?
It was during the day because most of their business is at night, so we had to get in and out. So we were very limited about how much time. We were in front of the Tropicana. There's a big clown face up there, which is the Bazooka Circus. And we had to wheel in this whole thing very quickly because we only had about 2 or 3 hours to do this whole scene. So it was difficult, but it was also fun. Yeah. Because there was a kind of working like that. Guerrilla filmmaking is what it's like. So you have to be very fast, and you don't have time to think, and you don't have time to worry, and that's the best part. Because one of the hardest things about making movies to me is that with time there, you can start worrying and then double thinking and complicating things when you don't need to. And when you're, like on Fear and Loathing, a low budget in a difficult situation, you just go in there. Come on, go, 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 go. Okay, got the shot. Let's go.
That's true. Isn't it a bizarre city? Nothing is real there.
No, it's
even the people.
But until this year, it was the fastest growing city in America.
Was it?
Because they have. Their tax situation is that people, when they retire in other places in America, you have to pay what we call a windfall tax on retirement, not in Las Vegas. So everybody was coming with all their savings, and then they lose it in the casino instead. But it was the fastest growing city. I think what's strange about it is nothing makes any sense there, because everything's like a fantasy world. And the architecture has no meaning. Arches are going like this, but they're not supported by a column. And so you kind of you're dislocated, basically. So it's almost like the ground isn't solid.
It's crazy.
And the only thing you know is about money, winning. That's the only thing they keep telling you. You can win, you can be a winner, but how can anybody not look around that city and say, who's the winner? It's not me, it's the guys with the casinos. They're the winners.
That's true. That's true. There were rumors that you should be the director of one of the Harry Potter's films. You would be perfect.
Yeah, I know I'd be perfect. That's the truth.
Would you accept it?
Not now, because originally on the very first one, J.K. Rowling, who writes books, and the producer both wanted me to direct the first one. And I knew the studio didn't want me, because the studio wanted a safe pair of hands. They don't want a guy who's going to do his own thing. But and I remember going out to L.A., because I had a meeting with the studio, even though I knew we weren't going to get the job. And reading the script, I said, this is easy. This is, I can do this in my sleep, this stuff. Because it was very clear she had seen Monty Python. I know she had seen Time Bandits. There were so many elements that came from our world. But the studio wanted Chris Columbus, and then the film was successful, so they must have been right. The only one that I like is Alfonso Cuarón's, the third one. He really got much more the spirit of it.
One of your last theater projects was the show with Slava Polunin, with the Russian clown. That must be fun.
It's a very strange thing. It's still not quite finished, this project. It's a new show that he's preparing. And he wanted me to direct it. And then I said I really couldn't, because it's his material. And then he said, okay, co-direct it. And then I started working with him and realized, well, that's not even quite right. So I said my title will be Assistant to Mr. Polunin. It's kind of extraordinary. I'm not used to working like that, so it was very interesting. We were in Tel Aviv, in Israel, for 2 weeks working on the show, and by the end it was pretty good. He's fantastic. He's extraordinary. I love him. And this new show is very interesting. It's basically about a clown and his death. His best friend is death. I mean, the great thing about Slava is it's very poetic. It's very dramatic. It's serious clowning.
You made so many people laugh. What makes Terri Gilliam laugh?
I don't know what makes me laugh. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe what makes me laugh is when I'm surprised. So I never try to know too much, and I like being surprised. I think that's the most difficult thing about getting older. You get surprised less and less and less. You begin to know too much, and I keep trying to pretend I'm not getting older, that I'm living the other direction, trying to get younger.
What happened to your hand?
My wife made me go out in the garden and try to help change the blade on the lawnmower, and I never changed the blade on the lawnmower, and I never will again, and it slipped, and so...
Yeah. Don't you think most of the movies start to look alike, quite similar one to each other, especially those made in the States?
That's what it feels to me, yeah. I look at the trailers and say, well, I've seen that one, I've seen that one. They're all the same. I think America in particular, but in general I find, and it may just be getting older and having seen so many movies, I just feel, well, I've seen a movie like that before, but the one before was better. Yeah. It just happens all the time. And I wait to be surprised, and I seldom am.
What could come now? Do you have an idea?
I don't know.
What would be the next
I think the one that surprised me, well, I don't know, the one that surprised me last year was Kung Fu Hustle. I'd never seen a Stephen Chow movie before. Yeah. And Kung Fu Hustle came on, and I said, wow, this is really good. This is funny.
You mean it?
I'm serious. Yeah. No, I really loved Kung Fu Hustle. I thought this is a very smart movie. The guy understands cinema. He plays with these very popular cliches and surprises me all the time. So I was a big fan of Kung Fu Hustle.
Well. Okay, Mr. Graham, it was great that you saved your time for us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for being in our program. Thank you.
Thank you for the cappuccino.
Dnes byl naším hostem pan Terry Gilliam.